Hello everyone! Today we are going to talk about 5 common developers' mistakes that affect the page load time of a website. Did you know that when a website loads for more than 3 seconds, half of your potential customers are lost before they even see it? Bad news, isn't it? Today we will figure out what factors affect the speed of loading pages on a site and talk about the secrets of optimization. Why is page load time so important? We all know that saving our clients' time is a guarantee of trust and long-term cooperation. If a client waits for a long time to open a page of a product or service he needs, he will simply go to a competitor where he can do everything much faster. Therefore, site page load time is directly related to performance. In fact, download speed affects 3 fundamental things that bring you income: visibility, conversion, and usability. So, site visibility. When ranking a site, Google always takes page load time into account. Accordingly, this directly affects the search for it on the internet. Conversion. The faster your site loads, the more interaction between visitors and the site. If the page of the site takes long time to load, your customers will be disappointed and leave it before loading, without making a purchase or using the service. Remember, a slow website kills conversions. Comfort of use. User satisfaction is directly related to the speed of loading pages. As a result, customer retention will be much higher. Now let's talk about numbers. Let's check out a couple of research findings from HubSpot in 2020. If Yahoo lowers page load times by 0.4 seconds, the traffic could be increased by 9%. A 1 second slowdown in a page load can cost Amazon $1.6 billion in sales each year. Slowing down Bing searches by just 2 seconds will result in a 4.3% loss in revenue per visitor and a 3.75% decrease in clicks, as well as 1.8% decrease in searches. Looking at the facts above, you can see how destructive a slow page load can be for you. So what factors can influence page load time and why are you losing your customers? Quite frankly, there are many factors that can affect page load time, but we will only talk about 5, the most basic ones. So first is an abundance of HTTP requests. Whenever the browser needs to retrieve a page, file, or image from a web server, HTTP requests are made. You can see how your application performs network requests on the Network tab in the Developers tools. Mostly the browser limits the number of simulations requests from 4 to 8. Therefore, you cannot make many requests at once. Research from Yahoo says that 80% of apps' load time is dependent on HTTP requests, so reducing them will result in faster load times. Everything is clear here. What can be done to reduce the numbers of HTTP requests? First, you can combine your CSS or JavaScript files. You can combine them into one and to not receive multiple files from the server. You can also make your CSS files smaller to increase loading speed. Download only what you need. Download all images only when you really need to. This technique is called lazy loading or loading on demand. For example, when a user visits your site, the images are not loaded at once, but are loaded at the moment when the client scrolls to that particular location. Turn on browser caching. Allow caching of static images or content that you won't change often. When the clients visit the site again, there will be no need for a new HTTP request and the content loading will speed up. Provide HTTP2 support on the server. Using HTTP2 to load your website will not only make one connection to the server and multiple requests are allowed at the same time. This is much more efficient than creating a new connection for each source. Second reason is the lack of CDN. Often the user is too far from the server and this increases the download time as it affects the HTTP request to the server. It is in such cases that you need to use a CDN, Geography Distributed Content Delivery Network, which will allow the user to quickly receive the content that the page needs from a server that is closer to user. In the picture here, you can see an example when your source server is in California and your CDN will look like this. It is important to properly configure the CDN to cache the resources with the correct time to leave values for effective use. Using a CDN significantly reduces page load times. This method may be more expensive but more effective. Please note that most CDN services have their own network backbone where they can provide a high quality of service compared to the internet. This will reduce packet loss and shorten download times. Recommendation: you can share already used components between projects using Bit or GitHub. It is needed for building scalable applications, teamwork, code reuse, design preservation, and faster delivery. Third reason is very large file and page sizes. It takes a very long time to get a large file or page from a web server, and if you need to select several large files, the page size will increase, which in turn will increase the time downloads. So a few tips here. To reduce file sizes and page load times, use compression, for example using the gzip program. There is also another compression method called Brotli, which is used depending on the file types. In order to reduce bandwidth and download time, you can use compression of HTML or CSS files. As practice shows, this saves about 50 or 70% of the file size. And to reduce even more page load time, reduce the size of the images used in the application. Well, the first reason is the simultaneous reloading of all the resources. Constant simultaneous reloading of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files will lead to a significant slowdown in page loading, since rendering will be blocked until all resources are loaded. Loading the JavaScript files after other components will speed up page load times. And JavaScript lazy loading as well is a mode of loading large JavaScript files after other components. This method ensures the rest of your content loading without blocking with large JavaScript files. And reason number 5 is lots of redirects. In most cases, we use redirect to handle deleted or moved pages so that we can avoid broken links. Meanwhile, the most redirects, the more HTTP requests, which dramatically increase the page load time. Google advises the site owners should remove the redirect in order to optimize load times, especially for websites that target mobile devices. You can use the Screaming Frog tool to check all redirects so you can analyze the result and identify unnecessary redirects. There are actually 2 types of them: server-side redirects, fast and cached, and client-side redirects, slow and not cached. For the most optimized page load time, avoid client-side redirects whenever possible and minimize server-side redirects. And a short summary. I think that most people save their time for more important and profitable things. So a site that takes long time to open is at least annoying and reminds me of the good old days of Internet Explorer. And the most does not inspire confidence in such a server. There are many tools you can use to gauge your site performance, such as Google PageSpeed Insights, Pingdom, YesSlow, and more. At least you will have an idea of where the site can slow down. The main thing is to eliminate the main problems and not to find solutions to all the proposed assessment tools. Once you have identified the most important areas, you need to take action to dramatically reduce page load times and dramatically improve your user experience. It's time to revitalize your website, or if you have any question regarding the loading speed of your site, contact System Admins Pro and our team will help you with all technical issues. You can contact us by visiting our website or by writing us to email systemadminspro.com or office@systemadminspro.com.